Still an audio version only. Here we go. Hello, everyone. My name is Ricky. Today's discussion topic is: are the Milwaukee Bucks really better without their superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo? Well, let's dive into it, shall we? So, there's this ongoing theory that whenever a team succeeds without a superstar player, whether they're out because of an injury or whatever the case, that whenever that player is reinserted into the lineup, they could possibly be a detriment. So that's been more plausible in the last decade or so, and certainly has been a topic of discussion in this year's playoffs. For example, you have the Clippers winning without Kawhi Leonard, the Nets are winning without Kyrie Irving and James Harden, and now the Bucks beating the Hawks without Giannis. So we in America are so hell-bent to the fact that if you aren't good at one particular thing, then you are considered a failure to society. The American education system is predicated on test scores. So if you have high test scores throughout your junior high, high school, and college years, then you are classified as a successful student. From there, you are expected to be someone like the head of a company, a lawyer, a doctor, something with really high, lofty expectations, all because you have tested well. So what happens to those students who maybe don't test as well? There are thousands and thousands of young adults and teens who simply just don't take tests well. There is an anxiety around it, there's pressure around it, and some students, especially at that age, they just don't handle that pressure and anxiety well. It is literally just you with your thoughts, a piece of paper, and a pen, and that's it. You can get into your own head because, let's say, if you don't test well, if you don't ace this particular test, maybe you're going to fail the class, and then you're labeled a disappointment or failure to society, and in some cases, unfortunately, could be a failure or disappointment to your family. But just because those students maybe don't test well, it doesn't automatically make them a failure. Those students can be valuable in other aspects of the world and in life, aspects that maybe those students who got the A pluses back then will never know or fully understand. And America has driven this idea into your psyche that if you don't test well, you can't thrive on your own. So this theory that the Bucks are better without Giannis is honestly, it's nonsense. Like, do they play differently without him? Sure, yeah. Does it look more pleasing? Does it pass the eye test? Sure. Have the Bucks, as of late, been more successful without him? Giannis, that being? Yeah, sure. But the Hawks and now the Suns have had multiple days to come up with a game plan, and I guarantee you that said game plan revolves around stopping Giannis and Giannis alone. So whenever Giannis isn't on the floor, the game plan is now changed both for Milwaukee and whomever they're facing, whether that be Atlanta or now Phoenix. So the Bucks aren't better without Giannis, and if Giannis doesn't win a title, he's not a failure. They just play different basketball when Giannis isn't on the floor, and the Hawks and now the Suns have to adjust their game plans, and they have to learn on the fly. It's okay to be a really good player in the regular season who maybe isn't as successful in the postseason. Take a look at James Harden, at Russell Westbrook, Giannis, Chris Paul had this until this season. I mean, prior to this year, all of those players that I just mentioned were either already Hall of Famers or were on the way to becoming a Hall of Famer. I mean, look at the likes of Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing, Reggie Miller. All people who are in the Hall of Fame that do not have a title. And we're so blinded by the fact that if a superstar can't or doesn't carry his team to a title, that they're considered a failure. And we want so badly to compare these superstars to other all-time high-tier, otherworldly, best of all-time Hall of Fame players. You can't just expect everyone to be a Michael Jordan, to be LeBron, to be Kobe. I mean, there's only one trophy that gets handed out every year. And these guys play about 10 to 15 years, and if they're in their prime, they're probably in their prime for about 7 of those years. So it's okay to not be a great test taker. you can still be successful in other facets of life. If you're great in the regular season, maybe not as successful in the postseason, you know what? That still qualifies you to be in the Hall of Fame, and that's pretty successful if you ask me.